Honorable viewers, I welcome all of you to my YouTube channel, Department of English. Today I would like to share with you the Renaissance period 1500 to 1660. So let's get started. Though Renaissance began in 1453, its effect on English life and literature was felt after 1500. For this reason, it is generally accepted that the Renaissance period began with the beginning of the 16th century and continued till the Restoration in 1660. This period is called the Renaissance period because Renaissance spirit was the main driving force that characterized the literature of this time. This period of 160 years is subdivided into four shorter ages after the names of the political rules. Number A. Elizabethan age 1558 to 1603, Jacobean age 1603 to 1625, Caroline age 1625 to 1649, and finally Commonwealth period 1649 to 1660. So let's start about Elizabethan age. This age is named after Queen Elizabeth I, who reigned over England from 1558 to 1603. This is called the golden age of English literature. The important facts which influence the literature of this period. Number one, with the accusation of Queen Elizabeth I, dynastic problems and political troubles came to an end. Religious and social stability brought about national prosperity. The religious reformation inspired religious tolerance and secularism. Elizabeth I introduced Anglicanism to settle religious problems. It has a long history. In the 16th century, Martin Luther of Germany and Zwingli and Calvin of Switzerland protested against the autocracy of then Pope. Those who supported them were called Protestants, and those who still supported the Pope were called the Papists or Catholics. Henry V3, that means who was the King of England during those years, supported Protestantism for his personal advantages. He wanted to divorce his first wife, Catherine, and marry Anne Boleyn, his fiancée. But the Pope did not approve it, so he denied Pope's authority, married Anne Boleyn, and introduced Protestantism, or the Protestantism. Sorry, I can't pronounce correctly because it's a very difficult Protestantism to England. Some of the people accepted King's religious authority, but the rest followed the Pope's rule. This caused a bloody civil war which continued till 1558. The year Queen Elizabeth I came to power, she understood the problem and introduced Anglicanism, England's own church. This religious settlement brought stability and prosperity to England in the second half of the 16th century. Number 4. Geographical and astronomical discoveries of the previous decades brought unlimited fortune during this period. Renaissance that had started earlier was now very strongly felt in England. It brought ancient Greek and Roman wisdom to England. Erasmus reached England and with John Colet taught humanism and other ideals of Renaissance. The social life of England was marked with a strong national spirit, humanism, liberal religious views, scientific curiosity, social content, intellectual progress, and ultimate enthusiasm. Let's see major writers of the period and their major works. Thomas More, 1478 to 1535. Utopia or Kingdom of Nowhere. The book was originally written in Latin in 1516. Norton, 1532 to 84, and Sackville, 1536 to 1608. Gorboduc, 1562, the first English tragedy. Edmund Spenser, 1552 to 99. He is called the poet of the poets because many later English poets followed his art of poetry. He wrote The Fairy Queen, The Shepherd's Calendar, Nicholas Ardle, Ralph Roister Doester, the first English comedy, Sir Philip Sidney, 1554 to 86, An Apology for Poetry, 1595, a critical treatise, Arcadia, a book that wears the embryo of English novel, John Lyly, 1554 to 1606. He is called a university wit. What does mean by wit? Let's see. Yeah, university wits are a group of young dramatists who wrote and performed in London towards the end of the 16th century. They are called university wits because they were the witty students of Cambridge or of Oxford. Marlucate, Nashe, Grain, Lely, Laws, and Pilly were the members of this group. They upheld the classical ideals and ridiculed the crudeness of the New English philos. So, however, Thomas Kidd, 1557 to 1595, he is another university wit. In the Spanish tragedy, he wrote Robert Greene, 1558 to 92. He is another university wit. Ferrer, Bacon, and Ferrer, Bangori, James. George Peele, 1558 to 98. He is another university wit. He wrote Divided and Bethsabe. Arraignment of Paris, 1584. Francis Bacon, 1561 to 1626, is called natural philosopher. Essays, 1597. He wrote Christopher Marlowe, 1564 to 93. He is another university wit. He wrote many kinds of books. You can see Dr. Foster's Edward, The Jew of Malta, you know, Tamburlaine, The Great Part. William Shakespeare, yes, 1564 to 1660. The greatest English dramatist, famous for the objective presentation of his deep knowledge about human psychology. He is often called the Bard of Avon. He wrote 37 plays and 154 sonnets. Of the total 37 plays, he wrote the following 25 before the death of Queen Elizabeth I. Henry, Henry 1, 2, 3, Reset 3, the Comedy of Errors, Titus, Andronicus, the Toming of the Shrew, Love's Lovers Lost, Romeo and Juliet, A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Two Gentlemen of Verona, King John, Reset 2, The Merchant of Venice, Henry second part, Mass Ado About Nothing, Henry 6, as Julius Caesar. The Merry Wives of Windsor, As You Like It, Hamlet, Twelfth Night, Troilers, and Cressida, as well as That Ends Well. All's Well That Ends Well. Thomas Nashim, 1567 to 1601. He is also called a university wit. The Unfortunate Traveler. Ben Jonson, 1573 to 1637. A new classicist thought, though he wrote in a time when romantic mood of literature was prevalent, he is called a new classicist because he followed the classical rules of drama. Every man out of his humor, every man in his humor. Beaumont, 1584 to 1660, and Fletcher, 1579 to 1625. Fletcher, a king and no king. The Maid's Tragedy. Main literary features of the age. Elizabethan literature reflects a great variety of creative genius. It demonstrates experimentation and innovation in dramatic and poetic forms and techniques. It is deeply influenced by the Renaissance spirit, especially by the Renaissance literature of Italy, France, and Spain. In style, it exhibits romantic exuberance. Its writers are all men, not women, from all classes of the society. It is an age of exquisite poetry, unparalleled drama, and splendid prose. It marks a shift from man's fate to his free will. It develops English language to a level of stable standard. Its spirit ranges from the Platonic idealism or the delightful romance to the level of gross realism. The literature of this age shows a quest for the remote, the wonderful, and the beautiful. It reflects original romanticism that revived during the beginning of Romantic Age in 1798. And finally, it initiates literary criticism. Now, I'm going to discuss about Jacobin age 1603 to 1625. This age is named after James I, who resigned over England from James I, maybe, yeah. England from 1603 to 1625. The word Jacobin is derived from Jacobus, the Latin version of James. Some historians like to call the last 5 years of this age as a part of another age which they call the Puritan age, 1620 to 1660. They call it so because between 1620 and 1660, Puritanism became the driving force in the life and literature of England. The important facts which influenced the literature of this period are: colonial territories were expanded. Religious conflict that subsided in the Elizabethan age revived in this period. Protestants were divided into three sects: Anglicans, Presbyterians, and Puritans. Renaissance influence continued. And finally, Scotland was brought under the rule of the King of England. Major writers of the period and their major works. Shakespeare, who had started writing in the Elizabethan period, wrote 12 series plays in this period. Those plays are Malheur of Malheur, Othello, Macbeth, King Lear, Antony and Cleopatra, Coriolanus, Timon of Athens, Pericles, Cymbeline, The Winter's Tale, The Tempest, Henry of Farthiry. Though Shakespeare wrote this series plays in the Jacobin age, he is called an Elizabethan dramatist and never the Jacobin. The period 1590 to 1660 in which he wrote his plays is also called Shakespearean age. Ben Jonson, who had started writing in the Elizabeth period, wrote his famous plays in this period: Volpone, The Silent Women, The Alchemist or Alchemist. Francis Bacon continued writing in this period. Advancement of learning, Novum, Virgum, some new essays were added to the new edition of his essays, 1625. King James I, known as the wisest fool, instituted the translation of the Bible into English in 1611. The authorized King James Bible appears in 1611 and its language became the benchmark of English language. John Webster, 1580 to 1625. The White Devil, The Duchess of Marlborough. Cyril Turner, The Revenger's Tragedy. The Atlas Tragedy. John Donne, 1572 to 1631. And George Herbert, 1593 to 1633. The metaphysical poets started writing in this period. Let's discuss main literary features of this age. The elegance and felicity of Elizabethan verse disappear. The Platonic idealism, which had been the main spirit of the Elizabethan era, almost dies out. Renaissance spirit still remains the main influence. Drama continues to dominate the literary scene. Classical rules of drama are maintained by Ben Jonson. Poetry takes a new and startling turn. decadence of art begins. English language develops further. Mask is innovated. Satiric art begins. The Cavaliers were defeated. The king was caught and publicly beheaded on 30th January 1649. His death marked the desolation of monarchy for the time being. English colonies were further expanded. Cromwell emerged as a Puritan leader and came to power in 1649. Major writers of the period and their major works. Donne and Herbert continued writing their metaphysical poetry. Henry Vaughan 1621 to 95 and Andrew Marvell 1621 to 1678 also wrote metaphysical poetry. John Milton 1608 to 74 we wrote Commerce Lycidas of Education Ariphagetica. Main literary phases of the age. Drama declines significantly. Literature reflects a revival of moral and intellectual awakening. Elizabethan enthusiasm and national spirit disappear. Literary scenario is overshadowed by gloom and pessimism. Critical and intellectual spirit replaces natural outpouring of heart. Renaissance influence continues. Three types of poetry appear: Puritan poetry, metaphysical poetry, and Cavalier poetry. Cavalier poets appear and disappear. They are straightforward, erotic short poems with the motto Carpe diem, disappear with them. Sermons, pamphlets, history, and philosophy are written in prose. Commonwealth period 1649 to 1660. This period, like the previous two periods, belonged to the Puritan age. Only in this period there was no monarch in England. After the death of Charles I, that means first, Cromwell, the Puritan leader, came to power. He died in 1658 when his son Richard Cromwell became the ruler of England. He ruled England till 1660. In this period, Puritanism became gradually unpopular. The English people realized that monarchy was essential for them. Major writers of the period and their major works. John Milton did not write anything important in this period. Thomas Hobbes, 1588 to 1679, a political philosopher. Levitant. Jeremy Taylor, 1613 to 76, Holy Living, a sermon in prose, Holy Dying, a sermon in prose, Vaughan, 1621 to 95, and Marvell, 1621 to 78, continued writing. The influence of Renaissance and Puritanism died out by the end of this period. The Elizabethan romantic exuberance ended in this period. So that's all about today's topic for the timing. Thanks for your patience.